Have you ever thought about time? Yes, time. I know it's kind of an odd subject, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Time is relative. Clock spins at the same time, same pace all the time, but when we're working, it seems to go slower. When we're busy or having fun, it seems to go faster. When we're sleeping, it seems to not even happen. We just wake up and 8 hours have gone by if you're lucky. And it's one of those things that if you really stop and think about it, it literally does control our lives. Now, we spend a third of our life sleeping, a third of our life working, and a third of our life what we call our free time. Now, if you're already retired, then obviously you have more than that as far as your free time, unless you're just semi retired and you have a job. Now, I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a lot over the course of the last several years because I'm single and I intend to stay that way. So it's my responsibility to occupy my time. I don't have someone who's going to help me occupy it, with the exception of my children, of course. But I work retail, and I overheard a story between two customers the other day. It's a small town, everybody knows everybody, and they were asking each other about how their retirements were going. Now, the one gentleman had found a happy medium. He was happy in his retirement. He was keeping himself busy. He said he still didn't have enough time, even though he doesn't work. He's keeping himself so busy. The other gentleman had found the happy medium. He found stuff to keep himself occupied, but then at the same time still seemed to have more than enough time to enjoy his life. Now, a third gentleman who was not involved in this particular conversation, but one that I had spoken to about 2 days prior, he had just recently retired about 2.5 months, 3 months ago. And I asked him how his retirement was going, and he said so far he's hating it because he is bored and has no idea how he's going to occupy his time. He comes to the store, he buys a small project, he takes it home, he shows up a couple days later, and he just doesn't really know what to do with all of his time. I hope for the best for him. I hope he figures it out, but that's not what this video is about. This this is just a video where I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to spend my time. Now, normally when I have a day off during the week, I spend it outside recording my scripture reading videos, um, or making or just doing other projects around the house. But my car was in the shop today, so I wasn't even able to leave. And I was also concerned that my phone would ring right in the middle of recording the video and I'd have to start over. So, boredom struck. And now I remember boredom from when I was a kid. You had to figure out a way to occupy your time. Lots of solitaire, jigsaw puzzles, crossword puzzles, whatever the case may be. Now, I play video games and I watch TV, but that gets boring. And so I was just like, I am just so bored today. What am I going to do with my time? I decided to just bask in the boredom. I found a word search book that I bought about a year ago, totally forgot I even had, and I was doing word search puzzles, and that occupied my time for a couple hours. I had the TV playing in the background, but wasn't watching anything of any significance. And it was a nice change of pace, but then I stopped and I thought about it, and it's like, if I live to be 80, what am I going to do with all the time in between? Now, again, I have been making the YouTube videos. I'm helping my son start his leather works business. and I plan to make smaller projects for it, but he's just getting started, so until he shows me the next step on the projects that I'm going to be working on, I cannot work on them. So that wasn't an option today either. But at the same time, I just had this in my head. I'm just gonna not do anything today and just see what happens. And well, now here I am at 8:30 at night making this video about time because I am curious as to how this is going to go. Now, I've heard people say, well, what are we going to do in heaven? How are we going to occupy all of our time? It's 1,000 years. How are we going to occupy all of our time? I'm not so much worried about that because I have a feeling God has that figured out. But while I'm still here on this earth, it's my responsibility to figure out what I'm going to do with my time. Now, I am looking into starting crafting and stuff like that, but kind of with the leather stuff, my hands can only handle so much because, well, I'm not exactly a spring chicken anymore. Excuse the phrase, but I know you know what I mean. And I'm not sure where I'm really going with this video, other than if anybody has any ideas on how to occupy your time that I might not be thinking about, please let me know. Because I am genuinely beginning to wonder how I'm going to occupy all my time. I can only read so much. I watch so much TV. When it comes to recording the videos, you can only talk so much. When it comes to making my shorts that everybody seems to be enjoying lately, which I appreciate. I enjoy doing that. That is just so much fun to make those, and I appreciate the feedback. Um, but I can only look at a screen for so long too. So, anybody has any ideas for me? I'd love to hear them. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop it here. Again, this was just a what about video. So, have a beautiful day. Bye now.